배보다 배꼽이 더 크다.
A $45 concert ticket suddenly becomes $80 at the final checkout screen. Nothing illegal just happened. The website did not glitch. You are not looking at a technical error. You are looking at an absolute masterclass in psychological warfare. And despite the sudden wave of anger hitting your brain, you will almost certainly click the purchase button anyway. Every single week, your brain willingly walks into this exact financial ambush. You probably think hidden fees are just a lazy expression of corporate greed. They are not. They are a highly precise, multi-billion-dollar industry standard, engineered to exploit a specific glitch in human evolution. Think about the last time you downloaded a free mobile game on your smartphone. The upfront cost was exactly $0, but 3 days later, you spent $10 just to pass one single level. Or look at the cheap $50 printer sitting on your desk right now. The initial transaction felt like an absolute victory for your wallet. But 3 months later, you discover a single replacement ink. Cartridge costs $70. For decades, major corporations have used this exact trick to quietly extract billions from our pockets. But if you look at how different people around the world survive this constant manipulation, you stumble upon a massive psychological anomaly. In the United States, consumers fight this trap with continuous class action lawsuits. The Federal Trade Commission even stepped in to propose a complete ban on these hidden costs. But across the Pacific, consumers do something completely unexpected. They do not just get angry. They do not just file legal complaints. Instead, they trigger a completely different mental defense mechanism built directly into their native vocabulary. They look at a $3 cup of coffee with a $7 delivery fee, share it with their friends, and instantly burst out laughing. They use a highly exaggerated, anatomically impossible phrase that sounds like a total Matrix glitch to an American ear. They look at the receipt and say, "The belly button is bigger than the stomach." Think about that literal image for a second. The human navel is just a tiny scar on the landscape of your body. It cannot physically be larger than your entire torso. Yet, this biological absurdity is their ultimate weapon against modern corporate tricks. In English, when minor details completely overwhelm a major asset, you might say, "The tail is wagging the dog." Or you might hear the old British idiom, "The play is not worth the candle." But look at the underlying emotional frequency of those Western expressions. They are cold, analytical, and highly transactional. They focus entirely on an organizational failure or a bad business calculation. They leave the frustrated consumer feeling calculated and still intensely annoyed at the algorithm. The phrase
배보다 배꼽이 더 크다
operates on a completely different psychological plane. It abandons transactional logic and forces the imagination into an arena of pure visual comedy. It instantly makes an annoyed shopper picture a person walking down the street with a navel the size of a giant watermelon, on a waist the size of a tiny cucumber. By turning a calculated corporate scam into a ridiculous, impossible caricature of the human body, the emotional dynamic changes. You are no longer just a helpless, angry victim of a modern digital algorithm. You become a spectator watching a chaotic comedy of bad proportions. But if you try to search through historical libraries to find the exact origin of this brilliant psychological shield, you will find absolutely nothing. Linguistic historians have looked through the royal annals of the ancient Joseon dynasty, and the phrase does not exist in any official records. The elite aristocrats who recorded history and classical Chinese characters completely ignored it. To the ruling class, crude jokes about human anatomy were far too vulgar to be preserved in formal literature. Because of this aristocratic censorship, the phrase lived entirely in the dark for centuries. It survived exclusively through oral tradition, whispered in crowded taverns and shouted across muddy marketplace squares by ordinary laborers. And when you look at the harsh economic reality of those commoners, the survival of this biological joke makes perfect sense. Centuries ago, under highly oppressive feudal systems, getting openly angry at an official who charged a massive transport fee for a tiny bag of grain could easily cost you your life. Open defiance meant prison, but whispering an anatomically impossible joke to your fellow merchant in the market square was entirely safe. It allowed the common people to completely strip the ruling class of their psychological power without triggering a violent retaliation. It was an economic survival mechanism disguised as a ridiculous body joke. Now, look at how this ancient mental defense mechanism fits perfectly into the modern digital economy. When a modern consumer named Sarah encounters a hidden baggage fee that costs more than her budget airline ticket, her brain enters a loop of chronic frustration. She feels cheated by the system. She feels manipulated by the corporate algorithm. But when a Korean consumer named Jiwon faces the exact same structural trap, her language immediately triggers the belly button reflex. She laughs at the absolute visual distinction of the final total. She shares a screenshot of the impossible pricing with her friends, turns the corporate greed into a piece of digital entertainment, and moves on with her night completely unstressed. She did not save a single dollar, but she successfully reclaimed her emotional independence from the corporate machine. Modern global capitalism is aggressively engineered around creating these giant, modern belly buttons. Tech monopolies deliberately sell cheap hardware, knowing they can trap you with expensive proprietary software updates later. Video game studios build massive virtual worlds entirely for free, just to monetize the tiny digital clothes your character wears inside the game. We are constantly surrounded by industries, trying to make the accessory far more lucrative than the core product. And the human brain is not evolutionary, wired to handle this constant, low-level financial manipulation without experiencing severe mental fatigue. This continuous friction is exactly why consumers across the Western world are reporting unprecedented levels of subscription and transactional burnout. When every single daily purchase feels like a legal battle against hidden terms, consumerism stops being a convenience and starts feeling like a psychological minefield. By looking at how different cultures refuse to internalize this transactional stress, we discover an alternative path for mental preservation. The strategy behind this ancient metaphor shows us that you do not always have to meet structural absurdity with raw, destructive anger. Sometimes the most predatory pricing strategy completely loses its psychological power over you. The very moment you turn it into a caricature, when you refuse to give a hidden fee the power to dictate your emotional state, you break the loop of consumer manipulation. The next time a digital app attempts to force an outrageous convenience fee onto your basic transaction, do not let that algorithmic greed ruin your peace of mind. Take a step back from the screen, look at the disproportionate total, and recognize the giant belly button they are trying to attach to your stomach. Laugh at the sheer ridiculousness of modern economic structures. Use the ancient psychological shield and protect your inner peace. Because in a global economy specifically designed to trap your wallet, maintaining your sense of humor is the ultimate form of resistance. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive into the hidden mechanics of consumer behavior and cultural psychology. If you have ever encountered a modern pricing trap where the navel completely swallowed the stomach, share your story in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next real analysis of human behavior and global culture. See you in the next video.